Hey, welcome to the Chef's Table, a weekly video series for professional women who want to go from being a corporate employee to following their dreams of being a culinary entrepreneur. I'm your host, Chef Evelyn. This is the place for successful women who want to live, cook, and work on their own terms. So if that's you, let's get started. Hey, and welcome back to another episode of the Chef's Table. And in this video, I want to talk to you about 4 things no one tells you about switching careers from being a corporate employee to a culinary entrepreneur. And these are things that I wish somebody at least would have given me a heads up on or had a conversation with me about that kind of took me by surprise initially. But now I'm on the other side of that. So this is me giving to you what I wish I had. The reality is I didn't know anybody that had taken that journey from being, a corporate employee to a culinary entrepreneur. All of my friends a lot of them at the time were, equally in corporate America, and their career paths were thriving just like mine was. And they weren't about to make a sharp right turn the way I was. And I didn't even see other chefs who had done that. I had seen chefs that they've been doing this their whole life, or that's what they went to school for initially, but they hadn't ever had to make the switch. So I didn't have anybody to kind of give me like the heads up and the secrets about what I should know about this journey. So I am going to share it with you today. Now, the first thing that I didn't know was about the struggle with my identity. So when you're growing up, people always ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? And, it's always something either really prestigious or something really profitable. And people are so excited. Oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be an engineer. I want to be an architect. I want to be a nurse. I want to be a teacher. I want to be this, right? All amazing career fields. And so people are like, oh, yes, you're so smart. You can do it. And you're good at this subject and that subject. And that's going to be perfect for you. And your whole life, you have been kind of wrapped around this. I'm going to have this prestigious, lucrative career. And then you got it, right? And so I remember once I became a chef and switched careers and went to culinary school and started my business, I would go back into some of the same like networking events that I was going to before, or be around some of the same kind of people in the industry that I was working in. And people were like, oh, what do you do? And I'd be like, oh, I'm a chef. And they were like, oh, that's nice. And I felt very dismissed. And then I was like, yeah, I used to be an engineer, and then, I decided I wanted to follow my passion and become a chef. They're like, oh, you used to be an engineer? Really? Wow, such a change. And so there was this like disdain for me being a chef, or like they weren't that impressed. But when I told them that I used to be an engineer, it was like, ooh, wow, oh my gosh. It was almost like, oh, you're smart. Or, oh, you were successful. Like they never said that, but that's what it felt like. And they may not have even meant that. But I think that one of the things nobody told me was that this struggle with identity, that a lot of times, because we've been groomed to go into corporate America and get this prestigious career and have the corner office and the big title and the big salary and travel around and do all the things, that when we do something that's not as common or as traditional or isn't as viewed as profitable or prestigious, that nobody tells you that, oh, you're like, oh, I guess it's not as sexy. I mean, maybe more so now that, the culinary space is grown, and, the Food Network and the Cooking Channel and all these cooking shows have shown these celebrity chefs. But at that time, like people like the Food Network, but this was before there was like lots of competition shows and all these cooking shows. At that time, it was just like, oh. And I remember even after going to culinary school and graduating, I had friends being like, okay, so you went to culinary school, so when are you going to go back and get a real job? And it was like, this is it. I'm not going back. So I wish somebody would have told me about like being confident in my new identity and not being attached to what I do for a living, and knowing that I have an amazing life, because while they hate their job every day, not all of them, some people love their job, and that's what you want for people. You want them to love their job, but some of y'all hate y'all job, and I love what I do. So, and I had the courage, just like you had the courage, that, you know what, if I don't love it and I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, shout out to you and shout out to me for having the courage to do something different that a lot of people don't have. So pat yourself on the back for that. Okay. So secondly, one of the things that I wish I kind of knew that nobody tells you about switching from corporate to culinary is about the lifestyle. Somehow I didn't really consider the fact that as an engineer, fast track in corporate, working for a Fortune 100 company, I had a certain lifestyle, let's just be honest, financially, schedule wise, all of that kind of stuff, that when I first started in the culinary field was nothing like that. It was nights, it was weekends, it was holidays. The pay wasn't that great. And I soon realized, I was like, oh, this is not going to work. Like, I didn't go from working Monday through Friday, during the day, to having to work nights, weekends, and holidays for less pay. Like, that's not why I changed careers. But I never even thought about the fact that that's when most chefs cook. That's when most restaurants are open. That's when most people go out to eat. That's when most people, are having a catered an affair. And so you're just like, oh, I didn't know I was signing up for nights, weekends, and holidays. And so for me, I soon quickly realized, like, oh, I'm going to have to be an entrepreneur. I knew I didn't want to be an employee, but even more so, I didn't realize, like, this whole lifestyle thing. I was like, I'm used to a certain standard of living that I built up. I invested. I went to college. Like, I invested in my career. I've been climbing the corporate ladder. I'm not about to, like, downgrade. Okay. So I wish somebody would have talked to me about the shock and the change of lifestyle. Thirdly, the income. I think that kind of ties into lifestyle. Like, initially I was like, oh, the income potential. I just thought, I was making engineer money. I just thought I could make engineer money in the culinary world. And it wasn't like that the people who were making the kind of money that I wanted to make had 25 and 30 years of experience. And I was like, but I was making that fresh out of college. Like, oh no, like, what are we doing? Girl, I was like, this is not going to work. Okay. And then the last thing that I wish I knew was that I really was learning two different things. That culinary school taught me how to be a better cook and how to be more efficient in the kitchen. But I also had to learn how to be an entrepreneur. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions when people tell you to follow your passion or to just jump, is that they're not telling you that it's like starting from scratch. It's a whole new world and a whole new system and a whole new set of skills, in addition to being a great cook and being, increasing your skill capacity in that way, that I had to learn. And so there was lots of bumps and bruises along the way, because I just thought, since I was a great cook and that, I was smart, like I went to engineering school, I surely I could figure this out. Well, I did, but not without it taking years and a lot of money and a lot of headache and heartbreak. And eventually I had to get some guidance. So if you're like, listen, I want to borrow that lesson from you, Evelyn, I don't want to buy it for myself, then I would say you need to take my mini course, How to Go from Corporate Employee to Culinary Entrepreneur, that walks you through the steps of what you need to be able to be successful as a culinary entrepreneur, because there's so many things that we don't know when we've been living the majority of our life as an employee, that somehow we think that just because we did that we can jump into this whole new system and we can just figure it out and wing it. And it's like, you could, but why would you want to? So anyway, let me know in the comments below which one of these things is a surprise to you, or have you experienced any of these? Let's have a conversation about some things that you wish you would have known, or you want somebody to tell you about the transition from going from corporate employee to culinary entrepreneur. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Peace. Thank you so much for watching. If you're ready to make the transition from employee to entrepreneur, then make sure to register for From Corporate to Culinary. From Corporate to Culinary is a mini course designed to help professional women begin the process of following their passion. So whether you are still on the fence about following your dreams or you have already leaped from the corporate ladder, From Corporate to Culinary equips you with the tools you need to live, cook, and work on your own terms. For more details and to register, go to FromCorporateToCulinary.com. Now, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so that you never miss a new episode. And to see what I'm cooking up behind the scenes, make sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook as Chef Evelyn. That's all for today, and I'll see you next week. Peace.